Hello and welcome to another episode of the VREL Esports Report. I'm Nutmeg.
And I'm V-Tach. We have an exciting show for everybody today. We'll hear from our Gunraiders correspondent about the semifinals and on to the finals of that tournament. Contractors has concluded its quarterfinals and is on to the semifinals. And we've managed to score an interview with the CEO and co-founder of VREL to talk about the league and things to come.
So to kick off our coverage of Gunraiders this episode, we're going to welcome our new Gunraiders correspondent, Effin Hated. Effin Hated has been organizing a lot of the Gunraiders matches this tournament. He's also been the sole caster for the game. He's been providing us with a lot of the footage and the synopses that you've seen. Before we get into his coverage of the round, we're going to do a little bit of an interview. He's going to tell us about Gunraiders itself, tell us about the game, tell us about what makes him so excited about it. So with that, welcome to the show, Effin Hated. We're pleased to have you here.
Thank you. I definitely appreciate you guys having me here.
So let's talk about Gunraiders. For our audience who might not be so familiar with the game, tell us a little bit about it. What kind of game is Gunraiders? What kind of game modes does it support?
Gunraiders is a 5v5 arena shooter. Well, I can't really say 5v5 because that number is going to be growing. Right now, the hub is a 14-player level, and the hub is a social environment for all the players to just get into. You can still shoot each other, and it's just like an endless match. It just keeps going. I actually did a 1,000 kill challenge on there, and I achieved that. It took roughly 4 hours, so you can sit in the hub and just keep going at it. But again, Gunraiders is a 5v5 currently arena shooter, and everybody has the same loadout. You have access to all of the guns. What makes Gunraiders stand out more, though, is the mechanics of it, the physics. You have a jetpack, a boost, and you can do wall flings. That's right, flinging yourself off the walls, grabbing it, holding yourself on. The mechanics stand out. Like at first when they introduced the jetpack, it really reminded me of Black Ops 3 with all the wall running and the boosting on there, but when they started adding the wall flinging and the boost with it as well, it just became its own thing. Right now in VR, nothing else is like it. And the best part about it is free, so anybody can download it. Now, for Season 2, it starts off in April, and they're going to be adding a couple more levels. They have a couple different game modes right now. You have Team Deathmatch, Free for All. There's a Assault, they call it, where you actually have to infiltrate and get into the orb. So it's like a score, an objective-based game. Of course, they have Capture, which is just 1 point right now. I'm hoping they're going to introduce, 3 points to make it more like Domination. The game is really chaotic, exciting, and super fast-paced.
Yeah, it does seem like those mechanics of wall running, wall flinging, jetpack boosting can provide for a lot of acrobatic, fast-paced, wacky action, and the footage that you provided us really does show that. Speaking of that footage, I've watched a couple of your casts now, and I can see that you're really passionate about the game. Can you tell us about what it is about Gunraiders that gets you so fired up?
Oh yeah. Well, it's not just this game. Any tournament really that I've casted, I always get fired up. I love tournaments. It's just that level of gameplay, seeing it played at that high skill level is insane. So with Gunraiders particularly, how fast paced it is, and when it comes up to that high skill level where everybody's flinging themselves around, dropping people with real quick, precise shots, there's something about it just gets me. So I love seeing tournaments in general.
I couldn't agree more. If there's anything that we want to provide here at VREL, it's the ability for those competitive players to scratch that itch and get the best out of themselves in their game, and also provide our audience that viewing experience. So far for casting Gunraiders, there's not a spectator mode. I noticed that you have to actually be in the game and follow the action and jump around and try not to catch a stray bullet. It's almost like you're a war correspondent embedded in the action. Can you tell us if the developers are planning on developing a caster mode, a spectator mode, anything of that sort?
Oh yeah, I've caught a few bullets. Luckily, I wasn't an actual war correspondent because I wouldn't be here talking to you right now. But yeah, in this one, I have to play as a player, and I just kind of run around like Cornholio with my hands up, like, don't shoot me, don't shoot me. So I have to hang on a wall. I have a few selections that I stick to so the players all know when I'm sitting here and if I'm I'm in a bright skin too, so like my character is as bright as it can be. So if they come over and shoot me, it's a deduction. But the developers did say that they do have spectator mode coming. I don't know exactly what they have in mind for the spectator mode. I do hope it's a lot like Hyper Dashes, because it can work on PC, just flat screen without me being stuck in the headset. And you can go from player to player, third person, first person, and also have the free flow camera. So that's what I really hope for, but I don't know what they're going to be building. They haven't really mentioned anything about the spectator mode other than it's coming soon, which is awesome because hanging around, peeking through the walls kind of sucks. You know, we really got to see the action, and we got to see it from the first person, possibly third person. Free flow camera would work, but again, if we don't have the option to go from one person to the other, it's going to kind of have that weird, I don't know, bird's eye view.
And we'll certainly be looking out for that spectator mode to be released from the developers of Gunraiders soon. Finally, now that the Gunraiders tournament is getting towards the semifinals, which of the matches are you most looking forward to?
Well, my team is still in it to win it, so I can't really play and stream at the same time, not with this game particularly, because it adds a lot of lag in the headset. So for casting purposes, I'm going to bench this one, plus I'm actually one of the lowest tier players in there. Nobody heard that. So with my team running at it, going up against Havoc, I am anxious to see this one, but I'm most anxious to see the final matchup between, I'm taking a guess here, it's going to be the Mercenary Diamonds. They have been dominating every single tournament, and I'm hoping that it's going to be up against my team. But if not, me and Havoc already took a pact that one of us will have to bring them down. So Diamonds, you have been warned.
Looks like the gauntlet has been thrown for the Diamonds. They better watch out this round. Well, thanks again, F and Hate It, for joining us on the show and telling us about Gunraiders.
Anytime, and thanks for having me.
And now I'm going to hand it off to F and Hate It so he can tell us about what happened last round.
Let me explain what has happened in the Gunraiders tournament. The Mercenary Diamonds have been dominating every tournament so far. Again, beat Saboteur Monkeys, advancing to the next round. Mercenary Spades, you can guess it, that is their second team. They beat Nades, but it was by a disqualification. Nades brought in somebody who wasn't part of their team and got disqualified. Team Cuties had back and forth action with Havoc, resulting in Havoc advancing to the next round. And also Effin' Raiders, my team, battled up against Team Frenchies. We advanced to the next round, so we're going to be battling Havoc, while Mercenary is going to be going up against their own teams, and we're going to figure out who's going to be battling for the finals. Let's go!
And now let's get into the quarterfinals matches for Contractors. First up is UMAD Clan versus El Tercio. Now, unfortunately, there was a bit of a scheduling covfefe, and we missed most of the first two rounds of this match in downtown. But El Tercio was able to get victories for both rounds over UMAD Clan. Second map was Factory, and the first round in Factory was really close between UMAD Clan and El Tercio. There was a lot of back and forth, a lot of capturing and neutralizing, and it really came down to those tickets, as we've seen in other rounds. Second round of Factory, however, El Tercio had the momentum. They had the lead for the entire map, and they were able to beat UMAD Clan to take the series 4-0 and advance to the semifinals.
Then we had Kermit versus Vortex. And both teams put up a hell of a fight on the first map of Factory. A lot of the points coming down to what seemed like straight up slugfest. Also, the kill tags played a pretty big part in the two rounds compared to what we normally see. Vortex able to get to the points first, but Kermit was right behind him for a neutralize, sometimes at 4 to 5 tickets. And as we've seen in the past, no matter how many neutralizations you get, you can't get to the point first. It's just hard to get that victory. And Kermit unable to for the first two rounds, going to Vortex. Second map was on Arctic, where Vortex seemed way more at home. They kept map control the entire time. They shut down Kermit, and Vortex would walk away with a 4-0 win and are on to the semifinals.
Now on to Sector International versus Strive. Both teams made up of Contractors veterans with a lot of hours under their belts. The first two rounds were played on Hideout, a very large map with a mixture of long sight lines and close quarters combat. Here, Strive and Sector International were pretty evenly matched, but Strive was able to get two decisive victories on the first two rounds. The second match was done in Factory. And point to point, Sector and Strive were pretty evenly matched. Either Strive would capture a point and Sector would neutralize it, or Sector would capture a point and Strive would neutralize it. And so the match was pretty close for most of the round. When it came to that third point, though, the last point at that downturned truck, it seemed like the match was never going to end. Neither team could get a footing on the point to capture it. And so it really just came down to slaughtering each other, collecting those tags, and getting those tickets down as much as they could. And there, Strive was able to finally get a victory. And the kill count on this map was ridiculous, as you can see here. Second round of Factory, it seemed like the fatigue was setting in for Sector International. And Strive was able to get some momentum and keep it going to be able to defeat Sector International in that last round on Factory. And so they were able to get a 4-0 win and advance to the semifinals.
Then we had SKS Straight Killers versus the Leftovers. Now I'm a little bit partial to this match. If you managed to catch the streams, you may have noticed, but I was there. I was playing for the Leftovers. Straight Killers, a hell of a team, have some great shooters. They've done great in the tournament so far. Relatively new to the Contractors competitive scene, but will certainly be a team to look out for in the future. First map was played on Factory. Straight Killers were able to take a couple of early points, but the Leftovers were there with quick neutralizations, were able to take map control and sweep the first 2 rounds. Now map 2 was played on Wildlands. Leftovers able to keep that momentum going for a quick win in round 3. Round 4, SKS able to regather themselves, take a couple of early points, but the Leftovers still able to readjust for a win in round 4. Overall win of 4-0, and the Leftovers, and yours truly, will be going on to the semifinals.
So what's coming up for Contractors? Well, this weekend it is the semifinals. We're going to see the Leftovers take on Vortex, and we're going to see Strive take on El Tercio. There's going to be a lot of excitement this weekend. I hope to see you there at the casts.
Now we are pleased to welcome the CEO and co-founder of VREL, Scott, aka DamageX. Welcome to the show, Damage. Thank you for coming on to the show and giving our audience a chance to get to know you and more about the VREL.
Thanks for having me. It's awesome to finally be on a show that I watch every week so far.
Hi, Damage. Welcome to the show. I know you're not new to the competitive scene. Can you tell us a little bit about your competitive history in esports?
Yeah, so I actually started gaming back on 56K competitively. Dial-up internet back when there was AOL inboxes and email addresses and AOL Instant Messenger and MIRC for Counter-Strike since Beta 7. So I played competitively in Counter-Strike for, several years, up into the invite-only leagues. And then I just focused on adult things and came back and started playing Call of Duty competitively. And then I found my first VR headset and my life changed completely, forever.
So what brought you over to VR gaming specifically? Were there any games that kind of piqued your interest at first?
Not really. I just, my whole life, I've always thought that VR was definitely the future, I think, with everybody that's involved here now, especially in staff positions, and even the players of the league. Basically, all it was I picked up a headset that my friend had, and I think it was a CB1, I think is what it was, and played that for a little while at his house, and the technology just wasn't there for me yet. And then the Rep Desk came out because I didn't want to have to put up sensors and all that in my cramped quarters in the military. And when the Rift S came out, I couldn't do it. Like, for some reason, that headset made me super sick. I don't know what it was, but I'd get sick no matter what. And then I was actually at 9 Line Apparel for something unrelated, and someone had a Q2, and they had Contractors on their Q2, and we played it in the room where you actually take like photos for your shirts and all the stuff when you're modeling. So we went to that big room they had, and we played Contractors and Hot Shot and Beat Saber, I think, and I just fell in love. And being prior military and a Counter-Strike and a COD player, a FPS shooter, Contractors just sort of rang out to me.
Makes sense. That would be a natural fit for you then.
Yeah, it was really, really natural. I really enjoy it. I think Lon and the guys over there at Caveman do an amazing job with this game. And I really do think it's the future of FPS competition for VR.
So Damage, now that we understand what brought you into VR and the VR comp scene, I'd like to know a little bit about what gave you the idea of VREL. How did that get started?
So I joined a team that I think both of you guys know called the Leftovers, and for Contractors specifically. And I used to run a league back when I was very, very young. I'm 37 now. I was 15 when I founded this league. It's called Battlezone Gaming. It hosted stuff like AVP leagues. It hosted Counter-Strike Source leagues. And I ended up selling that at the age of 16 for quite a bit of money for a 16-year-old. And then I had to sign a 10-year no-compete. And when I signed it, I went into the police department. I went into the military. Like, I never really had any plan on running a league again. And then when I was over at the Leftovers, I met a man with a glorious idea, but just trying to make it happen. And that guy was Disratory, Chris. And man, it just took off like a lightning bolt after that. That drive and that passion I haven't had in a long time, because when I got done with the military, I went and became a talent agent manager out in Hollywood. And I loved it for so long, but that love started to fade, right? And it was so coincidental that it was right around the same time that Chris was telling me about he wanted to start a league. So we just started throwing ideas via text message, via Discord chat, private DM. And next thing I know, here we are. I mean, we came up with a name within the first 2 hours of talking about this. And I was full on board, registered in the state of Florida, found people, used connections from my agency business, like to get G Fuel and 9line and all these guys. And then I know Tyler, the owner of 9line, from my military service. And it just took off, man. It snowballed so fast, so quick. We never thought we would be at this point right now. We weren't expecting to launch a second game until June or July. And we're on our 4th game now, getting ready to launch our 5th, I think. So like, it's amazing that it happened so quick.
Yeah, the quickness you're talking about, I remember some of the discussions that were taking place, and it was within a month and a half, 2 months, and everything was almost like full bore, going strong.
Yeah, it went really quick. Chris and I still message about it and still talk like, are we going too fast? Like, we need to slow down. Like what's going on right now? Like, we're just growing at such a rapid rate that neither him or I can really keep up mentally. But we have great directors and we have great staff that volunteer their time like we do to make sure that this is successful every single day, down to the referees of the leagues. I mean, every day, these guys, I see them put the work in behind the scenes that unfortunately all of the regular fans watching now don't get to see. Especially Nutmeg and V-Tach here, they kill it every day. They have new ideas and new ways to do things. And Proper, my God, like Proper, I can replace everybody on staff, including myself, except for Proper D. Like, seriously. And Fish. And Fish is one too. You can't get rid of Fish. He's unique in all himself with his skills. But Proper D and Fish could run this company hands down with it tied behind their backs. They don't need us.
Oh yeah, we depend on him all the time for our media stuff too, for sure. So about the league, how quick it had picked up and everything, question everybody's been wanting to know. We kind of covered it here, but coming from you will be a lot better. What makes VREL different from the other VR leagues that have come up before it, and what's a vision for the future that you guys have?
Really, guys, I think sorry, I'm flipping my hat backwards because it's really hot here. I'm in Florida. So I think when I came into VR scene, I come out of a lot of places where there was a lot of toxicity in gaming, in the communities. And one of the first things that I noticed was that level here in VR. I mean, it just really ran rampant until we showed up. And with my background and Chris's background also being military, and a lot of you guys, public servants and teachers and everything else, you're all constant business professionals. And I think that's really what makes us different than anybody else out there. Is our goal as a whole, from the referees up, we make sure we bring the people in that want to see VR be better. We want to see VR be on a big stage. We want to see VR be on the Olympics. Like, that is our goal. And we've had those discussions with a lot of people. As funny as the Olympics, when I heard that, I was like, the Olympics? And then I started seeing some of the games. I'm like, this could easily be in the Olympics. Like, and they're doing new cool stuff every day. But there's so much stuff that you don't get to see happening every single day, even in chats away from our main staff chats that keep happening. And Hasko's been a really big supporter of this and introduced us to a lot of people because she believes in our organization. And if you can get the stamp of approval from Hasko, I think you're doing something right in this business of gaming, honestly.
No, yeah, absolutely. I know me as a gamer, and I'm sure most every VR gamer out there. Those live events has been something we've all been waiting for, wanting. So that's a huge announcement. That's amazing.
So Damage, back in the first episode of this show, we talked about a tournament coming up, which was Golf Plus. And we talked about it having a pretty cool prize pool. Can you give us some more details about that?
I mean, I'm not going to go through the whole prize pool and break it down piece by piece, but I can tell you this. I think you all spoke on it, but you said a 10K prize pool, right, for the final 10 that make it to that tournament. But what people need to know is that it gets broken down in such a way that all 10 people are going to win some amount of cash. And it's a free-to-enter tournament. So...
Oh, yeah, no reason not to compete.
What more could you ask for?
All right, well, Damage, Scott, thank you again so much for coming on to the show, for the announcements that we weren't expecting. It's great to have you, and I'm sure we'll have you on again soon.
Yeah, guys, thank you very much. I love it at what y'all do every week, and every week it changes and something new and exciting comes in. So I hope there's something new and exciting my week so I can stomp it in Chris's face that he hasn't been on yet.
All right, folks, lots of more new and exciting things happening here, coming your way, and we'll be talking about it on every episode of the VREL Esports Report right here. And that about wraps it up for this episode. Thanks again to F and Hate It for being our correspondent for Gunraiders, and thanks for DamageX for joining us in studio for this interview. If you like what we're doing, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button so you get notifications of new episodes. Follow us on Twitter at VREL Gaming, and our casts are going to be on our Twitch channel, twitch.tv/VREL Gaming. Once again, I'm Nutmeg.
And I'm V-Tach. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next episode.